Welcome back, Guardian. I don't know why Bungie is so afraid of letting us make some kick-ass builds in this game and letting us have it all by the time we get to the end game. If you notice when you play the Sundial, it's all low 50 armor stat gear, and if you play Iron Banner, you can get 60 stat gear, but it takes like 12 to 13,000 tokens until you can finally get a piece that you actually can use in the game. And if you know the stats and all the data for PvE building, you know that resilience sucks, you know that you don't need a lot of intellect, it's all recovery, it's all mobility, and it's all your recharge rates if you know the data in the game. If you're one of those people that don't like data or ignore it completely, and you think your resilience is helping you out, then this probably isn't going to be the channel for you, because I only go by what I can prove based on data in the game, and recovery, recharge, and your mobility are just 3 factors that you need on your build to really truly wreck. But guess what? All the Dawn Armor mods cost like 7 or 4 energy, and by the time you put these Dawn Armor mods on, you have nothing left to balance back your stats on your armor, unless, like I was saying earlier, you have Iron Banner gear that you farmed out and spent like 1,200 or more tokens, which I know somebody that did, and they only got a couple pieces that they can actually even build with. And most of it wasn't even the right elemental affinity, so they still can't even build with their armor. I know that Destiny is a grind game, but they're making it to the point to where you can't even have fun building in this game because you have to choose one or the other. Do you want to have stats or do you want to have Dawn Armor mod? Because they're afraid to let us have them both and truly wreck in this game. And to this day, builds in Destiny 2 still aren't slaying harder than builds in Destiny 1 in the end game then. I don't know why they won't let us have it all, and I don't know who's in charge of this and managing all this stuff, but they need to fix it, man. Let us make some kick-ass building. And for the people that don't even like to play PvP, then Iron Banner is completely out of the question for them, and they're only going to be stuck to Sundial Armor, which is only specific to 2 stats. You can either have recovery and discipline and no mobility, or you can have mobility and recovery and no discipline or no strength. The balance of it is just crap, and it's just not great to build with. What they should have done was make that gear higher statted and make the amount of energy that it costs a lot less to put these Dawn Armor mods on. That way you still have room left to put, Hive armaments on some pieces, or mobility mods or discipline mods, but by the time you put on things like quick charge or heavy handed, I mean, that armor piece is finished pretty much, because then again, to unlock the secondary perk, you need another piece of arc energy or whatever the energy is to unlock the secondary perk. So you're pretty much just left with nothing else to put on the armor piece, and the whole build falls apart with nothing left to put towards your stats to make it an ultimate build for that DLC. If the main feature of this DLC is the Sundial, then why have low 50 gear that you can't even build with and have fun with by the time you spend 8 or more hours or all your time that you wanted to grind in the game? I mean, do you even build and test this? Anyways, but let's talk about this build. So I put together a hybrid build using some old build pieces mixed with 2 of the Dawn Armor pieces, so I can still have room to build back my stats and have plenty of other play room for reserves and things like that. Let's hop into it and talk about the stats first. I know there's still a lot of players who have never figured out the power of mobility. It helps in walking your shots in better, getting more accurate shots when you're doing short hops or high hops off the ground, depending on how you're fighting or whatever. It helps you maneuver around faster shooting adds and higher tier activities. You're almost as fast as you are running when you are walking when you're at 7 and up. It's not much difference at all. I mean, there is a difference, but like I'm saying, you just move around the map so much faster. Your aiming is better. It just keeps you beasting in running gun combat. Once you go high mobility and they go back to low mobility, you just will not play the same. All the strategies and tactics are going to be out of your grasp at that point. I'm just telling you, if you're a new player to Destiny, those people that say mobility sucks have no freaking idea. I'm telling you from a leaderboard player, I'm not trying to bring that shit up either, but mobility is a crucial tool to have in Destiny PvE run and gun combat, and must have in speed killing, especially against the hardest activities you can do in this game. I can't speak on behalf of PC players, but when it comes to console, get your mobility right, and I promise you, once you learn it, you're gonna be like, fuck, this shit's awesome. Now onto your recovery. I'm going to be at a 9 recovery, because with this build, we're going to have to play up close and even more aggressive to get the perks on the armor proccing a lot more. So having that is going to get your health staying at a right place to keep you running and gunning, along with the mobility. And then for your discipline, it's going to be at a 6. The reason why it's at a 6 is because you see I'm using Nezarec Sin. A discipline of a 6 and an 8 actually has a 0.3 millisecond difference in charge time. So I have a 6 just for background recharge when I'm running place to place. Then when the proc starts happening with the Nezarec Sin, then it's just all over at that point. And since we're using Nezarec Sin, we don't have to focus on our intellect or our strength because of one of the armor perks that we're going to be using on top of the Nezarec Sin. Now let's go to the subclass that I recommend with this build, with the top tree Nova. most of you are probably familiar with this, but I thought I'd go ahead and go over it anyways. So in Tropic Pool, when you have a charged melee and you melee somebody, you get about half or more of your grenade back, even more actually because of the perks we're going to be using on the armor pieces that we're going to go over. And then also Chaos Accelerant. You can use this if you want. It's just, lasts longer, more damage basically, but it doesn't have to be procced like it does with Controverse Hold. And you're going to get plenty of grenades, so if you want to use this, you can. If not, it really doesn't matter that much at all. And then moving on to the Cataclysm. So this is the main feature of this top tree. Slow traveling, has projectiles that travel and seek enemies and blows them all to hell. And then Bloom, kind of the icing on the cake. Your vulnerability kills will cause things to explode basically. Now, before we get into the armor, I've heard people say that armor builds are too specific, but I have another player that I play with that grinds and puts on basically the same statted armor that I use as well. So if I can find it, you can grind for it as well. It's not that hard, just part of the grind of Destiny. So if you want to just copy the perks for now and then try to balance all the stats later, this can be like an in-game one-day build you can strive for and try to grind out to get for yourself, but anybody can find the same type stats that I'm using. It's just a part of the grind basically. Now let's get on to the Nezarec Sin first. When it comes to exotics, this is the only thing that'll be the hardest part for you to find, but you can probably find a better statted role than I have. This is a 1.0 version with Light Reactor and Special Ammo Finder and a 1.0 recovery mod. So if you have a 2.0 version, you can use your version and try to balance the stats the best that you can. Like I said, if you don't have this, it doesn't really matter. You can just find a 2.0 and probably have better options on yours than I do on mine, but it is what it is. If you don't know what Nezarec Sin does, Void ability kills or Void weapon kills give you increased ability recharges and super recharge. My slowest grenade recharge with this on is 17.8 seconds. My fastest being around 7 seconds, using the Entropic Pool with the Impact Induction that we're going to talk about now, with the arm piece and heavy-handed. This is one of the Iron Banner pieces that I found out of around 600 tokens. It's all built around recovery and discipline, and it has to be because heavy-handed costs 7 energy, and I have to use another arc mod to make the second perk active, which means when I'm surrounded by enemies and I get kills with fusion rifles and things like that, I get my ammo refunded, and when I do a melee kill or a melee hit to somebody, I get half my melee energy back, mixed with the Nezarec Sin recharge. So that's why I was saying earlier about the stats, I didn't really have to build out for strength, because this kind of covers it for me. With Nezarec Sin plus this, I can get a melee back in around 15 seconds or less. Just depends on the situation basically. Now to stack with the Nezarec Sin and the Entropic Pool and my charged melee, or just a regular melee, I'm using Impact Induction. Having Impact Induction is what's allowing me to get my ammo refunded because of the heavy-handed secondary perk. So I don't have any room for any other mods besides Impact Induction and heavy-handed when I add these. So that's why I need high recovery and high discipline gear to build back those lost stats for the fact that I can't put anything else on this arm piece because the Dawn armor is costing so much and making me have to use another arc piece to get that perk active. For your chest piece, I'm using my last season Iron Banner chest piece because it had high stats. And remember, this is meant for an ad clear build and not for really anything else. It's for the ad clear person on your team. So if you have an anti-barrier person on your team or unstoppable, it depends on how you want to balance that out. But for me, in the role that I play when I play with teams, it's always ad clear. So I have 2 rocket reserves, so I can hold 9 rockets. And then because of heavy-handed, I got plenty of special. So plenty of heavy, plenty of special. Your chest piece is the most important here because this is where you build back most of your lost stat points because of the fact that you have to use the Dawn armor mods on the gauntlets. And then I have a 1.0 Nez Sin that has okay stats but no mobility. So I had to find a really good chest piece, and the only one that I currently have is the last season Iron Banner one because this season isn't dropping one. But if I could have it the way that I wanted, I wish this was actually an opulent chest piece so I could use Hive repurposing to go along with my leg piece that has Hive armaments on it with traction and a mobility mod to build back even more stats here. If I'm not fighting Hive, I would take the Hive armaments off and then I would use a rocket scavenger or something like that. But if there are Hive, I'm always going to go Hive armaments so I can get plenty of heavy ammo. Having opulent gear is still relevant in today's game, even though it's from a last, previous DLC before Shadowkeep or whatever. So you can still farm the menagerie. You can still get those Hive mods to drop by doing regular menagerie or heroic menagerie, and you can find the same stats as I did for you. So just keep farming it, and you'll eventually get that stuff to drop. And when you do get the right stats on it, it's always a plus because, like I said, building back those lost stat points, it's really what this is all about, to fit these Dawn mods in. That way you get the benefit from the Dawn mods. You can still have things like Hive armaments or Hive repurposing. You can still have reserves, so you can still get all this stuff, including all your stats. And the only 2 Dawn mods you really need for ad clear, heavy-handed, going with quick charge. Killing 2 or more enemies allows you to become charged with light, which basically gives you half your melee back, which goes with the entropic pull, which then goes with the Nezarec Sin, which then will go with the void weapon that we're going to be talking about in just a second. And then you have impact induction, you have your reserves, you have traction, you have hive armaments or hive repurposing if you want it. And if you wanted to unlock the secondary perk, you could use something like explosive finisher, or you could use hands-on. But other than that, you're kind of just topped out on energy because you need a mobility mod to go with quick charge. You could do something like, special finisher, I guess, if you wanted to, if you didn't care about the secondary perk. But if you want to unlock that, you have to use another arc mod. So you'd have to use something like explosive finisher or hands-on, but there's no other room for anything else in this build. And like I was saying, it's meant for specifically add clear roll. And since you're using Nezarec Sin, you're going to be getting a lot of super recharge back, so you can keep doing explosive finisher over and over again. Now let's talk about the 2 special weapons that I recommend, since you can rock 2 special weapons and have infinite ammo. I'm using the Gambit Shoddy, which is lightweight, I have full auto, and I have auto loading holster, so I can shoot a few rounds out and then switch over to Telesto. The only time I won't use a primary Shoddy is if I need an unstoppable weapon or an overload weapon, then I would swap to that, unless my teammate already has that covered and wants me to do specifically just ad clear, then I would still rock Parcel or any other lightweight shotgun. And then of course Telesto, that's what's going to proc with Nezarec Sin, and by having this on with the heavy-handed and the quick charge, you're going to be charged with light all the time with this and get super out the ass with this build on, and grenade recharge and melee recharge. Everything is just going to charge so fast with this. This is the best ad clear weapon you can have if you're only doing ad clear in this game. And then the highest statted rocket in the game, Sleepless, Fill Prep Cluster, Masterwork Handling with Quick Launch, and Alloy Casing. That's the highest stat rocket you can have in the game. The fastest ready aim fire rocket that you can have. It also has max blast, so taking out more ads per rocket. And if you know how to do the fill prep reload mechanic, where you can do fill prep on the move, makes it outlaw rockets with 9 rockets with all the reserves that I have. So this whole build is all about run and gun and going top speed for ad clear, and will outslay any build you put it up against in this entire game. Now let's go to Beast Town and take a look at what this thing can do as far as getting your ammo back and your recharge rates. I'm going to show you different levels of gameplay, so this would be equivalent to like the base game pretty much, just a lost sector, easy mode kind of stuff. I just threw my super out, my grenade was just thrown right before the video started, so that's about to be coming back. I just used my entropic pull, and I used my melee because I was quick charged, so I got half of that back, and every 2 kills I get with Telesto reloads the weapon, so I don't have to worry about auto-loading holster or any other weapon basically. I can just use specifically just this the entire time. I just threw my grenade out again, another entropic pull, it's going to make my grenade come back right again. That was a 7.5 second grenade recharge. And you're not going to find any better handling weapon than Telesto, and the freedom that you get, because even if you miss shots, enemies can still walk into it, and you get ammo if they do walk into it. So you always get ammo, you never have to reload it. You have the recharge from Nezarec Sin because it's a void weapon. And even if you have modifiers such as match game on, Telesto is still great when match game's on. You can shoot a void or an arc shield. It isn't going to take it off as fast as if you're shooting a void shield, but you can still take an arc shield off when match game's on using Telesto in way less shots than it would take a non-matching shield with any other weapon, if that makes sense. So if I had like a solar weapon on, shooting an arc shield with match game, it would probably take all my special to take that shield off. But with Telesto, you can do it in like 4 shots and still take it off, which is way less than any other gun. And I know a lot of people like to use Loaded Question, but honestly, man, Loaded Question, the Reservoir Burst, it's a base game weapon. It's not really that great in harder activities. The Reservoir Burst isn't that powerful unless you're doing it to get some weak thrall type ads, and usually when the Reservoir Burst even procs, it's hardly in a situation that it even makes sense in, especially when you're on a team of ad clearers. But Telesto, I mean, you can throw it on the floor for traps. You can throw it at anybody. It reloads itself, so you ain't gotta worry about the slow reloading. You don't have to worry about the slow handling of it. You can just be free with this weapon and do what you want to with it pretty much. It doesn't matter if you hit or miss. It's gonna come in handy sooner or later because somebody's eventually just gonna walk into it. The sweep shots are the best in the game because of the high handling on it. But pretty much, I'm always staying stacked. I hold 21 rounds, unlike other fusion rifles that hold around 18 or even less if you don't have any reserves on. But without any reserves, I'm holding 21. But other fusions hold like 16 and then 18 with reserves. So I get tons of ammo, so even if I'm in a situation where heavy-handed or anything isn't proccing, by the time that I'm getting low on ammo, I usually run into another heavy-handed situation to refund all the ammo again. And worst case scenario is I have to switch to my shotgun that will then be sitting there the whole time with max ammo from all the heavy-handed situations before with Telesto. So no matter how you look at it, I'm always stacked with plenty of ammo to go around, and I have the highest handling and a ton of damage from Telesto. I can be in the air, I can be on the ground, falling sideways, sweep shot, shoot one ad and damage any ad around that ad. I can plant traps on the ground, any phalanx I don't have to be direct with. I can shoot a phalanx anywhere, it doesn't matter if their shield's up or not, such as this situation right here. With Telesto, I can just shoot anywhere, and it damages or staggers, and I took both of them out with 2 shots. And that all goes back to my recharge rates as well. I got a super back in just 1 minute, so I don't have to worry about any intellect. I'm at a 2 intellect with this. And then I got the stats, the mobility to maneuver around, the recovery to get me back in the fight if I am busted. Any kind of situation I'm in, I'm always prepared with this, and I have that huge Nova Bomb to blow up any kind of big target that I come across. I left this situation in right here so you can watch the recovery come back, and you can watch my movement as I'm getting blasted by these targets. I'm still able to back up just that much faster, not even counting the lightweight weapon giving me that extra +1 mobility to top it off. That shot right there in the air when I'm falling, Loaded Question would not have been able to land that shot because it's an 860, and the handling on it won't allow shots like that at that much distance, and the charge time would have been too slow to shoot it in the air while I'm falling in that direction. So there's just a ton of benefit you get from this, including the ability to take out anti-barrier targets with Telesto and Sleepless with that quick launch and high handling rocket that can fire fast enough before he puts his shield back up. That's the only 2 weapon combo that's not an anti-barrier weapon that I've found that can take out anti-barrier targets without needing the anti-barrier rounds. Watch the agility that I get out of Telesto in this shot right here. When all these ads start jumping and firing towards me, I can still shoot fast enough and jump around and maneuver around their shots to be able to recover and still land the shot. Even though I'm in situations that normally wouldn't be that accurate, it still allows me to get range and that damage from the explosive crackle. And then again, right here, this combo with Sleepless, a grenade, and then fall down with Telesto. You can just do sick combos like this, and you just sweep the ground with Telesto, and it just blows everybody up. I left the rest of this situation in just to show you the recovery and a little bit of the movement speed and the height that I get when I just do these little short jumps and stuff like this. Like right here, just shoots him on the fly, and then I missed that shot, but he ends up walking into it anyways. You can see the numbers popping up. And then right here, the mobility to the side, and then the recovery that I need to come back immediately, which it does. I just pop out and ruin him. And then I'm going to use the Nova Bomb and finish this dude off. Let me reload my weapons real quick. Put that ammo back in, and it's good night, Mr. Anti-Barrier Champion. I reloaded that rocket before I even threw the Nova Bomb. This is how fast that fill prep reload is. But if you want to screenshot this build, this is a part where you can do it. If you want to try to build this for a future build or a wish list build or whatever, or something to compare your stats to when you're farming out gear to see how you're getting to the stat setup that I am. But that is how you build out the ultimate ad clear setup in this DLC to give you infinite ammo, a ton of ability recharge, super recharge, impact induction, you get reserves, armaments to get heavy ammo if you need it, or high repurposing, and you can use special finisher, or you can use explosive finisher, and then you have quick charge to keep giving you that light charge. You got the heavy-handed. I mean, there's just so much stuff in this build that it offers. Even the 1.0 if you still have light reactor on your Nezarec Sin. But anyways, Guardian, if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up. Sorry that it took so long to make and build and put together, but I've been trying to really like the Dawn Armor mods, and this is the only combo that I've liked so far. There are a ton of other good mods in this game right now, but when it comes to ad clear, which is what I like to do the most, this really does just take the cake. You can't beat all the benefit this build gives you, which makes it the ultimate ad clear build for this entire DLC. I don't know about PC, but as far as console, you can't outslay this build. There's just no way you can do it. The speed that this build runs at is just incredible and just can't be topped, man. But hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with your friends if y'all want to build out to slay together. And I'll see you all in the next video next time.
In space.